This is getting out of control. So let's talk about how they want to destroy us. And by they, I mean the rich and powerful. They want to destroy us because they're scared of us, scared of what we could accomplish if we joined forces and worked together. Throughout history, there are many examples of how the rich and powerful have attempted to control the entire globe. From the Roman Empire's military might to the British Empire's naval supremacy, these empires sought to dominate the known world and impose their will on other nations. However, despite their best efforts, none of them have been able to completely subjugate humanity. So then why do they want to destroy us? Let's explore a few reasons why they fear us and why they think we need to be destroyed. One reason why they might want to destroy us is because they're afraid of our potential. They've seen what we're capable of, and they know that if we unite, we could bring about massive change. They know that if we stand together, we could challenge their power and potentially overthrow their systems of control. Therefore, they attempt to keep us divided and weak so that they can continue to maintain their dominance. Another reason why they might want to destroy us is because they want to preserve their wealth and power. They've accumulated great fortunes and they don't want to share it with anyone. They know that if we unite, we could demand a fairer distribution of resources and wealth, which would threaten their way of life. Therefore, they attempt to maintain the status quo by keeping us divided and preventing us from uniting. Yet another reason why they might want to destroy us is because they believe that we are inferior to them. They think that they are superior to us and that we are just pawns in their game. They view us as tools to be used and discarded as necessary, and they don't care about our rights or well-being. This belief is evident in the actions of those who seek to exploit and abuse others for their own gain. The Romans were one of the first civilizations to attempt to conquer and rule over the entire world. They built a vast empire that stretched from Britain to Egypt and from Spain to Iran. However, despite their military might, the Roman Empire was not able to completely subdue the peoples they conquered. They were able to maintain control over much of their empire for centuries. But ultimately it collapsed due to a variety of factors, including overexpansion, economic instability, and internal strife. The Spanish conquistadors were also driven by a desire for wealth and power. They sought to conquer new lands and claim their riches for themselves and their country. They were ruthless in their conquests, and many indigenous populations were decimated as a result. However, despite their success in acquiring wealth and land, the Spanish were not able to completely control the regions they conquered. Local rebellions and resistance movements were common, and the Spanish had to constantly fight to maintain control. The British Empire was the largest empire in history, and it spanned every continent on Earth. Their navy was the most powerful of its time, and their influence was felt in every corner of the globe. However, despite their vast empire, the British were not able to completely rule over humanity. They were able to maintain control over their colonies for many years, but eventually they granted them independence and transformed into a global superpower. The United States is one of the most powerful countries in the world today, and it has a significant amount of influence over global affairs. Their military is one of the largest and most advanced in the world, and their economy is the largest by a wide margin. However, despite their power, the United States is not able to completely control the world. There are many countries and groups that resist U.S. influence, and the United States must work to maintain its position of power, though they have failed to completely rule over the world. The rich and powerful have still been able to maintain a significant amount of control over global affairs. They use their wealth and influence to shape events in their favor and to keep the rest of humanity divided and weak. The Industrial Revolution was a period of rapid technological advancement. That began in Great Britain in the late 18th century and spread to other parts of Europe and North America during the 19th century. It was characterized by the transition from hand production methods to machine production methods, which led to the growth of factories and mass production. This technological progress allowed for the production of more goods in less time, which led to an increase in wealth and economic growth. However, it also resulted in the exploitation of workers and the degradation of the environment. The rich and powerful used this opportunity to amass great fortunes by taking advantage of the new technologies and the growth of the global market. They started businesses that produced goods on a large scale and sold them all over the world. They also invested in new technologies and industries and reaped the rewards of the economic growth that followed. For example, the Rockefeller family, amassed a fortune in the oil industry by controlling the supply of oil and setting prices. They also used underhanded tactics to eliminate competition and maintain their monopoly on the market. Similarly, the Vanderbilt family built a shipping empire that dominated the transportation industry. They owned a fleet of ships that transported goods and people all over the world, and they used their control of the market to set high prices and crush competition. However, while the rich and powerful were getting super rich by exploiting the new opportunities created by the Industrial Revolution, they were also causing great harm to the rest of humanity. They were polluting the environment and degrading the natural world by dumping waste and They were also exploiting workers by paying them low wages and forcing them to work in dangerous conditions. Now, despite the harm they have caused, the rich and powerful are now trying to shift the blame onto the rest of us. They are trying to convince us that we are responsible for the environmental problems and the degradation of society. They are trying to make us feel guilty for using resources and polluting the environment, when in reality, they are the ones who started it all. They are the ones who caused these problems by pursuing their own interests without regard for the impact on others. One of the biggest threats that the rich and powerful face is the growing population of the world. They know that overpopulation is putting a strain on our planet's resources, and they are worried that it could lead to the collapse of society as we know it. To protect their own interests, they are trying to find ways to limit the number of children that we can have, such as raising the age of marriage or providing incentives for people to have fewer children. Additionally, they are funding research into new technologies that can be used to control the population, such as vaccines that could cause infertility. On the other hand, they're having at least 4 children themselves, while promoting smaller families among the general population. The rich and powerful are continuing to have large families themselves. This hypocrisy is evident in the number of children that they are having compared to the number that they are encouraging others to have. By having large families themselves, they are sending a message that they do not truly believe that overpopulation is a serious problem. Furthermore, by promoting smaller families among the poor and middle class, they are able to maintain their own wealth and power. A larger population means more competition for resources, which could lead to a redistribution of wealth. By limiting the number of children that the poor and middle class can have, the rich and powerful are able to maintain their own wealth and ensure that their interests are protected. They have used every human characteristic and beliefs like religion, skin color, and even language to keep us divided, fighting, weak, and easy to prey on. We have to wake up and realize that we are being manipulated and controlled by the rich and powerful. We need to unite and work together to overcome the challenges we face and to create a better future for ourselves and our planet. If we don't, we risk allowing the rich and powerful to continue to control us and our planet for their own benefit. So next time you see a homeless person, remember that you are looking at the face of the corporation. He or she is the one who owns the planet. You and me are nothing more than worms to them. If we don't get out of line, we will be wiped out very soon. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, I invite you to watch another video on how the system works. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel to stay updated on my latest videos. Thanks again for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.